Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. Braun Strowman nearly eats Apollo Crews, The Miz tears his pants, and I'm worried Neville actually beat up Mustafa Ali in real life. I'm Ollie Davis and this is the 3rd of July 2017 edition of Monday Night Raw in about 4 minutes. Enzo Amore opened the show with an impassioned promo about how Cass shockingly betrayed him twice, saying the 7-footer should now wear a shirt saying Casshole. Hopefully that'll prompt the crowd to chant Casshole to help his new heel character out the gate. Enzo is such a terrific talker, excelling at emotion just as much as comedy. He got his first bit of offense in the feud, attacking Cass backstage ahead of their match this Sunday. WWE booked a babyface in the disadvantaged underdog role for a change. After Nia Jax kneed Bayley in the face early on, poor Bayley, Sasha Banks found herself in a handicap match. The boss overcame the odds, making Alexa Bliss tap ahead of their Great Balls of Fire championship match. Bliss later claimed tapping was to strategically lure Banks into a false sense of security, which is a neat summary of how WWE often book their go-home shows. The Cedric Alexander, Noam Dar and Alicia feud is still happening. This was a rather meta Miz TV segment, with Miz first burying the Ball family for their train wreck segment last week, undoubtedly verbalizing Vince McMahon's personal outrage, and also by calling Dean Ambrose a failure since the Shield, an oddly damaging piece of criticism that seemingly comes from a higher-ups backstage agenda. Curt Angle booked Ambrose vs Miz for the 27th time this Sunday, but I would have much preferred a 3-way involving Heath Slater. Instead, we got Miz defending his title against Slater right away, with the A-lister still dressed in his Miz TV segment's white suit, which quickly split, exposing his casshole. The two had a surprisingly fun match, getting the crowd into Heath's babyface story at the end. A Miz to Raj distraction cost him the win though, and the Goons beat down Heath, Rhino and Ambrose heading into the pay-per-view. Goldust premiered his new movie, The Shattered Truth, a short film about one of the weakest injury spots in recent history. Unsurprisingly, considering how rubbish the ring post angle looked last week, R-Truth appeared fine behind him, and the two scuffled to a disinterested crowd. Seth Rollins squashed Curt Hawkins in 5 seconds, still trying to get his Kingslayer finisher over. You know what else he's trying to get over? His very lackluster feud with Bray Wyatt. Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar did the strangest thing in their go-home angle, a promo segment where both men interrupted and spoke over each other, you know, as if they were having an actual heated argument or something. Not the usual WWE promo of I talk for several minutes, now you talk for several minutes. This felt real, and it got even better when Joe went on a rampage trying to find Brock backstage, almost adopting a fighting babyface stance, while Lesnar played the cocky heel, an interesting contrast to how both men have been positioned in the build so far. Speaking of real, Neville and Mustafa Ali had a very good cruiserweight match, built around Ali spiking Neville into the mat with a DDT. The king of the cruiserweights suddenly got even more aggressive than usual, eventually making Ali tap in the rings of Saturn. This was bloody excellent. After their confrontation in last week's 6-man tag, Curt put Finn Balor against Cesaro, and guess what? They had a cracking match. The closing moments were really hot too, where Elias Samson, Sheamus and Matt and Jeff Hardy all got involved. Braun Strowman wants competition before Great Balls of Fire, and his first match since going out with injury. But nobody wants to face him. Enter up-and-coming sports entertainment management sensation, Titus Worldwide. O'Neill's main piece of advice to Apollo before the match was, crews don't lose. A tremendous strategy which unfortunately didn't hold up. Braun destroyed Crews, kicking him across the ring midway through an Apollo moonsault, giving him 3 consecutive slams, and at one point licking his head. Presumably afraid Strowman was about to eat Apollo, Titus stepped in but got a slam for his efforts. But when Braun went to put Apollo in the ambulance, Roman Reigns, thought to be off the show with injury, was laying in wait. Reigns speared Strowman off the stage through a table to close the show. So that was this week's Raw in about 4 minutes. Here's the usual ratings recap from top to bottom in awe, core, average, poor and bore. I'll reveal my rating very shortly, but first, vote in the poll above my head to give yours. I'll announce the results in tomorrow's WrestleTalk news. This was one of the best go-home shows WWE have put on in months, with all the feuds progressing and a few tantalising cliffhangers. They made me want to watch Great Balls of Fire this Sunday, which is what a go-home show should do. The only exception is Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt, which I really don't have any interest in. This week's Raw is core. There's a rumour going around that a SmackDown tag team have requested their release, and there's been a huge title change over at TNA. Click the videos to the left to learn they're not even called TNA anymore. Press subscribe and support WrestleTalk on Patreon. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was wrestling.